Sanbonan, how's it? So I'm charging this like cell phone device of mine with that monster because, you know, power cut, South Africa, life, and there are processes happening in the background on my cell phone that might cause my battery to die prematurely. Because some of my edits I do on my phone, I did let you guys know, hold on, that's a thing. Anyway, so we gotta, like, I'm huffing right now and I'm puffing, literally, I'm breathing heavy because I had to rush to get here to this place, get all dressed up, literally get an outfit on and what have you, so I can come and chat here because I know that the sun is setting and I've only got these 2 hours, 1 hour frankly, within which to speak my message before the sun starts setting. And the sun is the best friend of my life when you live in a country, frankly, that keeps on cutting power. Anyway, how you doing in Christ's name? It's your girl Crank. Hey, let me try and get as best lighting as possible. Look, I didn't have time to shuffle around and get the best unique conditions that you could possibly get under heaven. Why? Because it's just life, okay? South Africa, whatever. And you're looking at a dirty little table. You would have been looking at a much cleaner environment if at all my phone was the right way up, but I did let you guys know that I'm charging it and the bum of the phone has got the charger in it, and so therefore it's going to be difficult for it to just kind of like stay still. So now you have to look at this cracked up gangster winterfied table, but it only speaks of the table that the enemy lays for you while Christ gives us one. That's Stella. Anyway, righto guys, Yazzie, there is so much going on. If only you knew. So much. And yet people are trying to act like this is not even a thing. I'm so over these podcasts, except I'm already over them. I'll never get over them. I'll never ever be content. Never. With random, ridiculous government insanity. I spoke about that yesterday. The day will never arrive, and I'm like, hey, this is life. They want that to be a thing, but at least I belong to heaven. So because I belong to heaven, yes, we get to like watch this like this, you know, the way I'm chilling. Most lonely dudes, I'm relaxing. We get to be like, look at the world go, look at it go, look at it go, go, go. But you know what's also great? We get to give you the gospel so you don't have to deal with the futility of mankind like this. I think so. I had like a nightmare, a series of them. I'm always getting nightmares. That's just the story of my life. Hey, Galora. The Lord has seen it fit to give me dreams, you guys. And I'm like, hallelujah. Right? But except not. Because they have like this power to depress me. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Not happy. Not happy at all that they make me depressed. But that's why we come here to talk, so we can get it off our chest. You know what I mean? Later on, I wanted to rap on about this topic at length, but I realized I need my editing hours. I am backlogged, so I'm not going to be doing the big fat chunky long piece, at least not today, because I want to use that time to do admin, because I need to get work out, guys. And I don't even know what I don't know what I'm in a rush for. That's just the thing. Let's talk about that, eh? I don't know what I'm in a rush for, because I don't get viewed. Nobody has subscribed to my channel, or at least you find. So I'm sorry, subscribers, the few of you that there are, the 71 of you that there are, and thank you very much for those of you who have subscribed to me ever so recently. But the few subscribers that I do have, I apologize if I'm saying that nobody watches me, but you are tiny in number, and so therefore it's basically close to like me being nowhere. There is this like urgency inside me. I was looking at my cat. It's so dirty. That's why I hate recording outside. My eyes always wander at random stuff. Anyway, the urgency that I feel in my spirit right now can't possibly be from the fact that I feel as if though people need to get food. People need to get food and eat because people are hungry. They're just waiting with bated breath like little animals that haven't been fed. Outside of my ministry, waiting to gobble up whatever I've got to say. Whatever the Lord has given me in prophecy, they're not exactly running to eat it. So what's with the rush? What, guys? Like, I'd like to know. Why am I in such a rush? What is the rush? Maybe it's because they don't like looking at dirty tables, so they shall grab the camera, do that, and it'll improve, say ever so slightly. Okay. I have a feeling that the reason why there's like this gangster rush, I'm very stuffed right now, guys. It's not that my jacket is small. I'm cold. So I've got a lot of clothes here wearing. Anyway, yeah. My urgency is not so much mine as it is God's. There is an importance to get information out, and these power cuts are thwarting against everybody in the country, including the servants of God with the gospel. And if at all we need electricity, then that is being blocked. Guys, there is an urgency in the sky. I'm sorry, let me just like start talking like English, like a caring person about everybody that's checking me out. All right, there is an insanity going on the part of our governments. If my eyes keep wandering, guys, I'm immature as a recording person, so please, I will look at the bug on the floor. I should go inside the house, but you know, I wanted the scenic route, the scenic view today, so we're doing that. English. There is a global insanity going on the part of wicked men and women that have been charged by Usatani to do his bidding. These podcasts in the country, nobody is even talking about what's going on anymore. In the news, they're busy talking about the tavern shooting in Soweto, where a whole bunch of people died, but really, murder has been going on in South Africa for a minute. So, why is that more important than the most prolific power cut in the history of the human race? This year is new in South Africa. It's been, I don't know, hey, I've stopped counting on my 10 fingers and toes because South Africa keeps chopping them off, but a minute. It's been a while. These rolling blackouts have been going on for almost a decade now, maybe slightly above a decade, on and off for like a very long amount of time. Seriously, my battery is on 20%. How's that even a thing? I need to get this message out before it dies, this battery of mine. I thought I could be long winding, but I guess not today. I'm literally trying to buy time. Hey, and South Africa's like, oh, my dead would you? These rolling blackouts have been going on for a minute, but this here, the one that we're experiencing now, it's on another level. It's on another level. Like, we've never experienced anything like this. Like, in sequence. Back on back on back, week on week on week on week. Usually they, like, slap us with this random insanity, this atrocious thing that's going on for, like, a week. And then we chill for, like, a month. They'll give us, like, candy, hey, for a month. And then maybe we'll go through it on and off for that month, but iteratively, hey, not daily. Not like I'm expecting it daily, 3 or 4 times. This is historical. This is unprecedented, frankly. This is the earmarking of a new event in history. And it does not seem to be coming to a close any moment now. Akusakhulunywa about it. It's not being spoken about as much anymore in the news. Much like the death of a celebrity, where we mourn for all of 5 seconds, and then tomorrow they're talking about the new person that's replaced that celebrity because they've signed a deal with the Illuminati now. Yeah, we're on that tip, where they're talking about other stuff now, guys. Okay, so it's a fact. We've got rolling blackouts. Whoops. I've literally been looking for little bits of news on YouTube that I follow about what's going on in this country, and I'm not encountering them. I'm not finding them fast enough. And I'm like, okay, all right. What's happening exactly? And as for you, why are you not charging my phone? I need to understand because it goes on and off. Maybe get charger ena. This charger of mine gives me problems. Okay, listen up. There is something wrong, very heavy going on. Very important things that ought to be the highlight of news or topic of conversation that is being proliferated in the nation are being silenced, like the death of a celebrity that initially has some hype. And then it dies down. And now nobody's talking about the fact that Ricky Rick committed suicide. But this is like an ongoing crisis that is felt very deeply in our individual lives. You know how it happens with stories covered of famine in the world across the show, where you're looking at these malnourished kids suffering from all different kinds of illnesses, kwashiorkor, and it's a very sad thing to look at. The journalist goes and interviews this child and the family, and we never really find out what happened. We don't know. The doctor that was like a doctor without borders, or was provided by the United Nations or whatever, said in the news that this kid has got like 3 days to live if they don't get adequate service, adequate support, if they don't get adequate aiding. And we never get to find out if the kid died, because they cover that story once. It makes for interesting viewing. We shed a couple of trickles of tears down our cheeks, those of us who watch the news and are touched by the story, but we literally never hear of it again. And you know what happens when you never hear of stuff again, guys? Out of sight, out of mind. So that child dies, but we don't find out. We don't get an update. And so be adequately or sufficiently outraged, so that we don't get sufficiently outraged by the death that's going on. I found out the other day that the World Food Program, or whatever they want to call it, has stopped sending food to South Sudan. It was the story being covered in South Sudan because there's so many places where there is a famine right now. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, how does a World Food Program stop sending food somewhere? World, you're getting all our taxes. World, you're getting all of these donations by all of these billionaires. How do you stop a program because you can't afford to feed them anymore? Like, kids can no longer eat in their schools. So where it is that they were giving them food was in their schools. You go to school, you get a meal at least once a day. Your family can't afford it. The cows are dying because there's like famine in the land. So they're malnourished in and of themselves and they're dropping dead. Nobody's eating except if you're a student in school, and so the World Food Program feeds you, and then they stop the feeding scheme for that school. How does a program like that stop getting funding, guys? I mean, these are the people who print money. These are the people who mobilize everything. They are the big fat chunky hand, and they would love to believe it's omnipotent over the planet, that is feeding the hungry, that is giving the sick medication, and that's also taking money from those of us who do have money. So from those of us who are working these 9-to-5s that keep us alive, that are very drudgery focused, these drone-like environments that we go to basically die every single day, we then, after we go there, give a little bit of money to our governments, or a whole bunch of money to our governments, the governments of which have in and of themselves made a responsible decision to come together as the United Nations to come up with ways to feed parts of the world that aren't getting food. We are feeding these people. We are. And we haven't made a decision to stop paying taxes. So what exactly is going on? We have not said, I'm not going to feed the child in South Sudan. So how is the United Nations not feeding the kid in South Sudan? I don't get it. How do you stop something that is an international intervention from continuing to do what it does? You know, guys, stopping to feed people in countries like this is like one day making a decision that as a mom, it's been a little bit of a hard day and a hard life, and you can't quite afford your life anymore because the cost of living inflation is getting through the roof, and it's really tough to pay for your gas prices because, Russia won't stop invading sovereign nations. And then you're like, let me see where I can cut the budget. Where can I cut the budget so my life can be better, so I can continue to drive that big, fat, chunky SUV? I don't know. I did once upon a time not have a child. I remember the days when I never had a kid. Yeah, no, I do. Back then, I could just go shopping if I wanted. If at all my car ran out of battery power, I could just go and buy a new battery. Yeah, because I didn't have to feed an extra mouth. I do remember the beautiful days prior to this individual coming into my life and eating all of my resources. So given that I've lived before without a child, I think that maybe we should just cut the food budget for the baby. How's that, hey? Now you're just gonna have to deal with 1 meal a day, kid, as opposed to 3. Whoops, who'd have thunk it? My car needs to move. Where's the money going? That's not feeding these people. You don't just get to stop feeding people. You don't just get to not give people food. You don't make a decision that I can't afford to do this anymore. It's not a car or a house. It is a person. Human basic needs ought to be paramount in the hearts and minds of these lackluster globalists that don't quite see that we see what they see, not we see. There is a massive problem with where they're cutting funding. Do you not realize they're culling people? They're trying to kill human individuals out here in these streets, and they are prioritizing inflating gas prices. They are prioritizing supply chain blockaging us. I mean, seriously, there are some food trucks that can't quite get is the operative word to shelves. I mean, it's not like they have not been stocked. They just can't get to where they need to get. There is a supply chain issue, not only in the United States of America, because whenever the Americas, or especially the northern part of the America, says, oh my goodness, life is hard, everybody hears it. But then there are other parts of the world that endure the same issues as the ones in the Americas, and people are like, I'm sorry, where? Somebody's talking, the voice is a bit faint, can't catch it yet. In the Netherlands, I mean, who in the world hears about the Netherlands? A whole bunch, not a lot, right? Yeah, apparently the same supply chain shortages of food shortages that you're finding on the shelves in the United States of America, they're going through them too. So we've got money, we want to buy food. Hey, me, I want to go choose something. I want to eat and I've got money to pay you. I mean, you did say that. Theft is wrong, so I'm not stealing, I'm buying. That's what's going on. But I can't buy. And then you limit me to buying me only 5 batches of oil, 5 this, 5 that. So here it is that we want to pay taxes. Not only do we pay taxes, okay? I'm not paying taxes because they made sure that I can't. South Africa caused me to lose my employment, whatever, okay? But just back in the day when I was paying taxes, not only are you listening to me, did I pay taxes because every single month my organization made a decision that I'm going to chop that off, and I was a high earner as well, income, so my taxes were bordering on 50% or something, almost it was one of those higher tax brackets that I was chilling in, and I was like, it is what it is, net income is a bit they keep on chewing away at our toes, but it's fine. What can we do? Hey, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Even Christ was do it, so I'm doing it. Yeah, not only did I pay taxes because my salary, just chopped off, SARS and do you? Don't arrest me, okay? Do you? I also pay taxes when I go and buy food, every single amount of food item that I bought, I would have to pay something called value-added tax. Now VAT, you can claim. You can claim it from SARS, insofar as you've got the laborious energy to sit there with every single food item you've bought and tabulate on an Excel spreadsheet how much tax you paid on this particular can of Koo beans, and you've already paid the taxes because of your high tax bracket, and so therefore SARS, give me back my R2.50 from the Koo can. If you want to do that, if you want to go and grab every single grocery slip, every single petrol slip, every single thing that you've done, you can claim it back from South African Revenue Services. You can, because you're supposed to pay taxes essentially just once. So you can claim back that. You can. And other things. But most people don't do that. Not everybody out in these streets is a mwame with a karakanti dumba little coming out of their mouth, their eyes. They don't care. They just buy meat from the store and they eat it without, and then throw away the slip. I personally walk away even from the slip. Like, before they give it to me, got this cam, thank you, ma'am. It then lands on the floor because ma'am is long gone. They can't find her. It's echoing off the walls that thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that's what happens with the Cran K. So if at all, we basically pay double taxes, most of us, because most of us are not pedantic enough to actually do tax consulting on our own lives with every little thing that we purchase. Lord have mercy on the Cranberry K. Where is the extra money that we're paying over and above the money that we already are giving knowingly? They claim to be contributing. I mean, if you're a country that belongs to the G5, G20, G98, whatever, be a G, okay? Yeah, do you? If you're a country that belongs to these people, you are contributing somewhat, to global events. You are feeding the hungry in South Sudan. You are. Because, I mean, it's impractical for everybody upon having a burden for the South Sudanese circumstance to go there directly and be like, hey, fam, I'm going to, have your back. You can't just go there. On top of that, it might be a little bit dangerous. You might just not make it back home. So you hope that your governments are going to be honest. And then your governments make a decision to just kind of hold the World Food Program, like it's possible for you to one day just stop feeding your child and not look like a really gangster parent. Okay. I see. I mean, for those of you who do smoke syntax, I get why you would have to pay that. Do you? I apologize again for my language, right? Yeah, so those guys must pay that. Like syntax, if you're going to drink yourself to a stupor until your lungs, not your lungs, but your liver can no longer breathe, and then the next thing you're going to go and consume public hospital funds on dialysis because strangely you can afford PUSA but not medical aid. If you want to do that, do you? Then you need to be taxed for being randomly insane. Do you understand? However, if you are one of those prudish people that never touch a cigarette, never touch a drink, you essentially are like the best person in the country if you've got a job. You not only pay that initial tax that you pay, because your salary gets chopped off it, but you also don't care to claim from SARS the fact that you bought biscuits. Most citizens in the country are like that. And most citizens, I would go so far as to say, most employed workforce in most of the world's nations are like that. So where is our money going? Where is it going? Where is it going, guys? Agreed. Oligopolies. Monarchs that think they got this, they got us, and so therefore we're in a bunch wearing nothing but panties in the ocean. And so we kept buoyant by the air in our panties, and not so much but the fact that our governments are making sure we're on a ship. They are making us survive on our own. Literally. Like being kept buoyant, floating in the middle of the ocean by bonga. Bonga. Like bloomers, like lots of air. That's how we're surviving. They hope that somehow the providence of God that is happy to rescue us all is going to make sure that as a planet we don't just capitulate and cave and die because they're busy trying to make like Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other is insane, and take over the world. They want to run us. And they want to run us no matter how hard it is for us in whatever it takes for them to do. They want to run us. They want to run us. So for them, it's like, in every war there are casualties. Come on. You know that people are going to die. There will be some South Sudanese little 4-year-old child that's going to lose their lives. But you win some, you lose some. That's just life out here in these streets. You can't get it all. You can't win them all. You can't make like Pokemon and get them all. Just accept that this is life, guys. Right? You over there in the middle income class category of people, be blessed. Feel good about the fact that at least you can cull your baby so you can feed your car with gas or diesel. The guy in South Sudan doesn't even have a baby to cull because guess what? He died. So, just take it in your stride that I'm going to run you no matter what it takes. Even if I become a little bit of a genocider, bit of a Hitler, even though I'm highly critical of that guy. I'm actually calling him an anti-Semitist, but look at me go being an anti-personist, period, because I hate the world. I don't like people at all. Hitler has one up on me, but I mean, really, who cares? Who cares? He's Hitler. Everybody knows him. He's nasty. He's gangster. But I am a version of him that you're never ever gonna put in history textbooks as a bad guy. These people are into genocide. Where is our money going? I could not for the life of me get it. I didn't understand, guys. I did not understand how the World Food Program just kind of makes a decision to stop feeding a school in South Sudan. How about those like stuck foodstuffs then that you won't bring to the shelves of modern society? If you won't bring them to civilized society, to the urban areas where people have actual money to pay and they're happy to pay the inflated prices for oil, insofar as you will stock the shelves with oil, since you won't bring the oil to me, then take it to where the oil don't even exist then. If I can't buy my hura, I will settle for whatever else. At least I'm not going hungry when I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm just not eating my, big fat chunky like meal that I like every day with all the oils in it. I'm not getting to have my Caesar salad with all the olive oil I want in it. But I am getting to have my lettuce. I am getting to have my tomato. And even then, it's a little bit of a green tomato because I grew it in my garden because I couldn't buy it at the store. But, it's still a tomato. I can eat it. These people don't have it. So wherever those tomatoes that are chock-a-blocked are at, how about you send them to those guys? But guess what they're doing? This is a planned disaster. Pandemic of epidemic proportions. Biblical, shall we go so far as to say that apparently, allegedly, the missing mangoes in India. Yeah, I mean, India, guys, mangoes. Mangoes, Somebody bring me a mango. It is my personal favorite fruit. It is. I was wondering for the longest amount of time, what is my favorite fruit? And the other day, after eating a mango, I was like, it might have taken over 3 JKs to figure this out, but it's a mango. And now, after finding out finally what my favorite fruit is, because I could never answer that question, they decide to go and make a shortage of mangoes. Really? Yeah, okay. So there is currently a famine going on that's making sure they're in India, caused by like scorching heat, for these mangoes to be like literally like a third or a fifth, like some funny decimal percentage of what used to be the overall production of mangoes per annum. And then, as if that's not bad enough, I mean, like, listen, wait for it. Not only is there a shortage of mangoes from the world's greatest supplier of mangoes, they're throwing them away. They're throwing them away in some dump. There is a video doing its rounds on social media, and no, it's not manufactured. They love to say we created the footage. I mean, who goes out of their way to energize such a lie? Who, guys, come on. Just to prove a point, it's like saying the earth is flat and that it's a big fat conspiracy. All these people who think it's round because they just want to make sure that everybody thinks it's round. Why? What's it gonna do for me to think that the earth is flat, guys? What? Or round? What? What is it gonna do for me to disbelieve that? It does not make sense. It is a statistically bizarre belief to think that the whole planet innovated an idea from the top of their brains and then mobilized all different kinds of projects, looking like they even went once upon a time to outer space. They manufactured the Neil Armstrong thing, Yuri Gagarin. It was all a lie, just so that one day the earth can believe that the earth is flat. Correction, round. It doesn't make sense. There's no motivation behind it. There is no incentive. People don't tend to do things that just kind of take up a whole bunch of time, even though they can't understand why they're being done. We are inherently a motivated species. We do things based on motivation, and if there's no motivation behind it, it does not make sense. It is a statistically bizarre inference to reach, to imagine that people literally went out of their way to manufacture alleged veracity about the roundness of the earth. The earth is not flat. And I'm speaking to some people who belong to the Christian faith here. Stop it. It's not flat. It's not. It is not flat. It can't be flat. If it was flat, why is the moon round? Why would we be the only thing that does not have any dimensions in outer space? Why? Anyway. Herein lies the circumstance. Why would these people go and manufacture this lie just so they can make all of us believe that our governments are trying to kill us? Let's just riot and cause a whole bunch of anarchy on the planet, making sure that no one can rest at night. making sure that even our homes get looted, never mind the Prada store, that we live in so much chaos, purging 24 hours a day that nobody can barely recognize their earth anymore. It's uninhabitable. Why? Because we have caused mankind to rebel against their governments. It's worldwide anarchy. Do not trust your governments to a point where no one can sleep at night. There are no police anywhere. There is no law and order anywhere. There is nothing anywhere, and so everybody's doing their own thing. And I just want to do that because I really hate that they built parks one day. I really hate that now, instead of farming in our own lands, we can go to the supermarket. I really hate what the Industrial Revolution has done to make sure that mass production of food is a thing for everybody. I hate that there is organized education for children, and so therefore they can be taught 1 + 1 = 2, and I don't know. I hate that society has become so advanced. So I want to go back to the Stone Age. I want to go back to the days when I was teaching children 1 + 1 = 2 by drawing sticks on a wall. I want them to be regressed. So let's tell everybody to mistrust their governments, so we can break every building, so we can loot every store, so we can shatter everything, and live in a dystopian society like the one of The Walking Dead, where you can't trust any one of your neighbors anymore. Let's cause chaos! I mean, yes, there are some crazy people that might go out of their way to try and something like that. They might. There are crazy people that want absolute anarchy. But it's only because in and of themselves, they're living a very lowly life. They have nothing to do. They're unentertained. They're probably watching video games all day long, playing video games all day long. And so when they look at society, being responsible and going to work and kissing their kids to school and doing all these other things that have been provided by the systems of this world, thanks to industrial revolutions, they then are like, oh, I hate my life and I want everybody to live like me in a dystopia. They, by the amazing grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, are a tiny little percentage of lunatics, and so therefore they don't prosper to influence the rest of us. Now I'm saying, they don't prosper to influence the rest of the world, to pretty much break apart structures that have made us live very, very conveniently. So there is therefore no motivation in most of the human race to just disband societal structures that have made life super duper easier for us to live. So why then would they come up with a lie, a video, just make it run its rounds on social media, where they are throwing away the mangoes from India and they're claiming it's because of a drought, and they are trying to kill us all with hunger, and the supply chain shortages are being created to decimate us all, and here's the video footage of it, evidence, hashtag. Why under heaven would they manufacture that story? It's like claiming that a whole bunch of people got out of their way to prove the earth is flat when it isn't. To prove the earth is round, when it isn't. It does not make sense. It's statistically bizarre to imagine that is the inference that ought to be reached out here in these streets. So what is the sensible and sound thing that we need to believe is that information is being given us by those among us who are blessed enough to be in locations where random, strange, ominous activity is happening as it is being shot by our governments. Not so anarchy can be the order of the day or chaos, but reshuffling, reorganization of the structure of the earth, that those who run into, those who are basically our leaders, and how grateful we once upon a time were to them, because they helped bring about all of this law and order, the structure in society, that they need to be replaced if at all they've got this nefarious agenda where they think that it's okay to kill some kids in South Sudan for the sake of the greater good. I'm sorry, God in heaven, okay, heaven, all of it rejoices when even just one sinner repents, meaning that the Lord is very careful for each and every single soul on the earth. So you don't just let a child in South Sudan die from malnutrition. You don't get to do that and then get away with it in heaven. So heaven's citizens are very, very concerned about those South Sudanese kids who we heard the story about 5 days ago, and nobody's covering it anymore because the journalists have packed up and left. The fat journalists have packed up and left. I don't know how in the world I would have been a successful news correspondent, being as emotional as I am over causes in the human race, to just pack up my bags and my cameramen and leave kids dying. I don't know how I would be able to do that. I bet those men and women are always suffering from some kind of PTSD. Some of them slip in and endanger their lives past barriers to entry that militia groups have blocked, like in the Tigray region of Ethiopia, where the militia groups are preventing food aid from entering into, and they pierce into that environment anyway as journalists, and these people allow the journalists to come in because the militia groups in and of themselves have got an agenda to cover, and so they want the news media to hear them, and so they let journalists go through. while they won't allow food to go through. So the journalists, when then they get out, have to leave these people barren like that. I bet that's the kind of stuff that brings into anybody at all that has a heart for the human race. PTSD, that these people can't eat. And so you go home with flash images in your head of these people struggling while in and of yourself you're fat. Like, you look at these journalists with their makeup and their beauty and their plump, and you're like, oh my goodness, you're going to leave these kids around, behind. They will have gotten to speak on the news, and then you're going to just leave? You're going to just leave? I wouldn't be able to do it. Actually, I frankly wouldn't have been able to do it. But God sees these things. God sees how it is that conveniently journalists can get to places where nobody else can get, and yet apparently food, carrots cannot get to them. Something here is up. These are people that they imagine, oh, we can afford to just let them go. My goodness, they are even uneducated. They're basically like beasts. They might as well be Neanderthals. How about we, like, just cull them with the drought that doesn't even have to kill them. There is more than enough food on the earth to feed literally every lost soul. And there is also more than enough water to make sure that every lost soul is quenched. And yet there are people dying daily from dehydration, as well as malnutrition. And no, they don't have anorexia. They don't have an eating disorder. They are victims of their own circumstance. What is going on there? Why in the world under heaven would a person want to manufacture information in order to just cause a little bit of frazzling of people's hairs on the ground? For the better part of the time, people are self-preserving. And so if you're looking at a whole bunch of people, not a whole bunch, but a tiny little percentage, a fragment, literally there could be 5 of them in total out of a billion, out of a planet that has 8 billion people that are trying to run us to a point where they think that certain people can be culled. Like you making a decision in your house that child that is sitting over there looking all plump and 8 years old. There was a time 9 years ago when they weren't even there. They were never consumed. And so because you can fathom a time when they didn't exist, you think it's possible for you to just seize their existence now that they're here. That's called murder, last time I checked. And also, last time I checked, if at all you basically gaze upon a murder and neglect to do anything about it, you either function as an accessory to that murder or potentially a participant in culpable homicide. So what's going on right now is a culpable genocide that is happening in the world where the hungry are being kept hungry and the thirsty are being kept thirsty and the displaced are kept displaced, and it's like, oh, we can't quite get to them fast enough. Yes, you can. You just choose not to get to them. These are structures that very quickly can be moved out of the way. The barriers to entry that is, and yet they're not being removed. The difficulty to understand international law for me is extreme, because I don't know why at all there would be a law ever manufactured if at all the human race's general cause was important. I don't understand why a law would ever be erected that says, let sleeping dogs lie for the sake of peace. Like, do not enter a particular region if you have signed some kind of a truce or a treaty or an agreement in the past that this is something that you should not touch. Don't mess with it, lest you should cause like greater calamity or whatever. There should be something that overwhelms law. It's like what happens, for instance, in most countries with ambulance services, where it is that there are rules for the road. If the robot is red, you can't go past. If it's green, only then can you go. However, in the case of an emergency, all the ambulance has to do is go wee, 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 and they then can skip a red robot. So in the case of emergency, there ought be leeway to break certain rules that have been established in society. So there should be something that can cause a contract between 2 countries to be broken. In a regular law of contract, it's called a breach of contract. There ought be things, outliers that happen that in the event of them coming to pass, you can overwhelm a particular contract. What? You're scared of the Taliban, you're scared of you're scared of Hamas, you're scared of Hezbollah, you're scared of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, so you're not going to go and rescue starving, thirsting Iranians because you are breaking border laws and international laws. Like, what? I don't get it. I will never understand international law. I will literally never get it for those reasons. Like, there are human beings, like the human soul, the human cause ought to be more important to us all than any single thing on the earth. Nothing should matter more than human beings, because nothing matters more than human beings to God. And He is our creator. He gave us dominion above the animals. There are people who care better for animals than they do for human beings. I don't understand why there are fat dogs while there are skinny kids. I don't get it. But that's just what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what's happening in this world. And yet, we are sitting where we are sitting, trying to act as if though this is not like a global issue or a global concern, imagining that this is not a thing. Of course, the Lord has an urgency, therefore, in His heart to highlight that, guys, like, hello, if you don't get your stuff together in a bunch, like literally 2 seconds from today, it's over for you as a planet, because I am God. God is holy, and in being holy, therefore, is greatly grieved. Greatly grieved, therefore, if He is, will then in turn become greatly wrathed up. Energized with irritation, He will be indignant over the injustice on the ground. He will mourn and languish just as He wept over Lazarus' death when that child in South Sudan dies when they didn't have to. The Lord will continue to gaze upon this insanity and then be like, I'm sorry, if at all there's a red button in heaven to press, he's gonna press it, you guys. And you know what it's gonna do? Caught up in the clouds. I personally can't wait for that day. No, I want to leave, guys. I do. I really do. I want to go. This place is not nice. I don't like it. It's frankly awry. Everything has gone absurd. Everything is upside down. My personal life has been devastated by the general defeatism of my own country. I can't. I want to go home. I want to leave, but God appears to be caring for you sufficiently enough to not take me home yet. And the rest of my brethren were supposed to be caught up in the clouds. If anything, it was supposed to happen yesterday. Only go check out many of these guys on YouTube trying to gauge if it all were there, if we're there. I can smell it in the sky. Look at what the UN is doing. Look at what the World Economic Forum is doing. I can sniff it. The rapture perhaps maybe is tomorrow on the 27th of October. I mean, they've gone so far as to predict dates, something that is frankly irresponsible, but I get where they're coming from. I do. Why? Because it smells like it's over. It literally reeks of it's over. God is going to press that red button, proverbial one at that, in heaven, that is going to ultimately mobilize the new world order, the real one, that is called the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. Whatever it is that is the new world order of Klaus Schwab, I don't even know how to say that guy, Schwabstar, okay, name, the global elites, the big fat chunky, we have too much money guys, yeah, those ones that are even modifying our food and trying to make it look as if that's why we're not fat. That's not why we're fat. Understand, you guys, that upon these guys, these literally 2 or 3 or 5 random people, it's usually a tiny number, but they have literally too many resources at their disposal. If they are not uprooted, the Lord will then be the one to take matters into his own hands. The reason why he has kind of given you guys amnesty to wake up and smell the divine coffee is that you might be given a shot on an earth where you get to live some kind of a normal a life that has some kind of a semblance of a normal life. He wants you to sort of kind of have an okay existence, because while the earth is still as barren and as fallen as it is, no one can really have a normal existence, but you can get the best that you possibly can. It's still habitable on this side of the rapture, but there's going to come a time in the history of the human race such as that which has never been felt before, no, nor ever shall be. It's going to be so bad that no other time in history compares. I mean, if you thought the Holocaust was nasty, if you thought Hitler really did a fast one on the Jews, if you think he decimated all of Europe and then tried to worm his ugly head into North America, understand that the thing that Hitler did, apparently, allegedly, what's coming ain't jack in comparison to it. And this time around, it's not just on one group of people, the Jews, it's on you and me. For you and for me and the entire human race, there are people dying. But this time around, there are no Americans to come and ransack the Nazis. Listen, guys. The world is literally coming to an end. And I don't know why nobody wants to believe that, because look at the dystopia. It's gotten worse. If at all you're older than 10 years, you can tell that something has gone awry. Hey, even little children can tell that, Mommy, it used to be so much better 5 years ago. They can tell. They can tell. So if an 11-year-old can tell the world has gotten worse, how much more for a 38-year-old walking at you right now with bad hair? How much more? We can tell that something is wrong with this world, but people have got something called, what do they call it again? What is that word? Somebody preached about it and I was like, oh, I like it. Normalcy bias. Thank you. Slapped it right in the middle of my call. JD Farage, he went on and was like, guys, you've got normalcy bias. You want to believe that this thing is not ending. You want to believe that we're going to have this here another day tomorrow. You want to believe that even though things are going out of whack, and it's really right, that since so far nothing has appeared to bomb us once and for all, since entropy has yet to catch up with us, that's just going to still keep on happening. I agree. The world has got normalcy bias in the worst way. You think Sasa is going to be okay, except when has it been okay the past 5 years? I don't know. When has it been okay the past 6 months? When has it ever been okay? The past, personally in my life, I've been persecuted for 8 years. When? It's never. Literally, it just keeps tanking. It just keeps tanking. Your normalcy bias needs to be thrown right out the window. Fly like a bird. Set it free. Set it free. Allow yourself to be loosed from the disquiet of looking around and thinking, nah, somebody else is going to deal with it. Guess who that somebody else is? You. Father in heaven is happy to give you another 10 years on earth. Another 100, perhaps 200. Because understand, once the Antichrist reign comes, you're going to long for the days of Hitler. You're going to want to be literally at Auschwitz in that concentration camp, about to be gassed and still sing It's better than what it is in 2022. It's better than what it is in 2023. You're gonna want to make like Michael J. Fox and go back to the future except to the past. You're gonna want to get in a time capsule and go to the worst times in the history of the human race, like, I don't know, World War I or something, and just chill in the middle of a battle zone just to get relief. The way that the Antichrist reign is going to be so terrible for all of you. And it is why then you allow yourself to take in some funny, extraneous, weird, otherworldly, ominous, kind of mobilizing, funny, itchy thing rolling around in your brain and in your right hand called the mark of the beast. It's not going to be comfortable to take that thing, but people are going to take it, what, just to survive the hardship. And that's going to take you to an even harsher place called the eternal lake of fire, where the worm dieth not, and in that place there is weeping and gnashing of teeth, so you do want to avoid it. However, it is better to live in a time when you're not having to take the mark of the beast, just to have some kind of a normal life, a semblance of a normal life. You know when that time is? It's right now. Before the rapture, before Cran K is gone. Yo, what's going on? I'm leaving. I'm going, guys. Jesus, hey. Oh. I can already feel it. You know, we smell it. Like I said earlier, it smells like the rapture. It smells like day before yesterday. I feel like we've been here for a little bit too long already. Guys, it smells like 2 hours from now. I want to go. Like right now, I feel like my clothes could be left right here, like in those left behind movies. I want to go. Because I don't like this place. It stank. And it stank real bad. It stank. Why would anybody want to manufacture a lie about what's being done to us by the global elite? The Lord has seen it fit to create some whistleblowers or some people with cameras and strange shrubs and woods that collect data about how it is that they're throwing away the mangoes of India. While Karabo has to now choose a new fruit to be her favorite, perhaps one that grows in her garden, and there are none, so I guess I'll just eat shrubs. That's why the kids in South Sudan don't have food in their schools anymore, because they're deliberately throwing the mangoes away. So basically the Indian government is in on it. And some clever smarty pants in India decided to go and grab a camera phone and record it all and show it to us. There are fields, mass ones, literally fields, where they are throwing away healthy produce. They're doing it to us. Nga mankani. That would be by force. They're doing it by force, guys. They want to run us and they want to get it done real fast. And apparently the death of people in the run-up is just collateral damage. When you cause this much calamity, when you increase food prices, gas prices, you cause people. Hey, Batong, in the United States, there are these like little random crimes being done where people are no longer stealing cars, but they're stealing gas. They're literally blowing a hole in like a drill inside some funny place, and they're taking not just gas, like petrol, but oil. Because oil and gas are so expensive right now, thanks to this random thing that's going on there in Ukraine, because Vladimir Putin decided that, you know what, it's sovereign, but I don't care, I'm taking it. So basically crime is on the increase because of increasing food prices. Inflation, what inflation? That is what Joe Biden is saying. What is going on? What's going on? Random rubbish. Is that basic? When I found out the other day that petrol in this country is 30 rands a litre, I was like, It's a good thing my car's not moving. I can imagine what my mom is feeling while she's got a petrol card from her car, from her organization. I could imagine what other people are feeling. I really could. I'm hungry. And now to spend that much money that I would buy on a meal, on a decent meal at McDonald's. Now I gotta like buy 1 liter. 1 liter. Guys, this scoop said just to move your car after it's been stuck because you were forcing to push it on reserves. You gotta buy that scoop. You know that scoop, that 5 liter. So I mean, like, what is 3 times 5, guys? If you went to school, how you gonna go on right ahead for the life of you to spend 150 rand? Go scoopung! Scoop! There was a time when 150 bucks almost gave me half tank, guys. Hey! I drive a Mazda 2 1.3 active. Almost half tank. Got 150 now. 30 rand. Just sit in the car seat and not move, y'all. Not move. Maybe say dura. Why? Because you make it with fries, with sunflower oil. And sunflower oil, it comes from where? Ukraine. You can't get the sunflower seeds out of Ukraine. Nase Russia. because they're scratching each other's eyeballs out. So because they're busy scratching each other's eyeballs out, now got that cost you 35 rands more than a single liter of petrol. So it's like, oh, so now I can't even eat the kota. What must I do? I guess I'll just have some sunflower seeds. Oh snap, no, who'd have thunk it? Even they used to be cheap, but now they're expensive. So I guess we eat dust then. Let's eat grass. Let's make like the donkeys and eat grass. Hey, let's do that. Sorry, I'm reading an SMS that's coming in. Whatever, moving on. We have got a challenge walking at us, facing us in looking deep into our eyes, a bull's eye, and it's looking deeply into our souls. I'm sorry, I told you my eyes would wander. I'm thinking that maybe a car is coming, and then they're gonna hear me talking and be like, "When she talks too much outside all by herself, she's crazy. Let's arrest her." Because I am the kind of person that they would like to censor with the accusation of insanity, and I'm like, come on, man. Try. I'll show you flying kick from on high. They're deliberately doing it, and it is fast tracking, therefore, the Lord's release of us, because it is intensifying the wrath of God over the earth, given that God is the God of the weak, the oppressed. He is the father to the fatherless. He is the husband to the widow. That is who our Sumandla is, okay? So he cares for those South Sudanese kids that don't get covered later on. He cares for the mangoes that are lying, wasting, making for fertilizer in some patch of land in India. And they're not getting to where they need to get, while there are famished souls across the world that are dying from something they ought not die from, hunger. The Lord is looking at Lazarus dying, and he is weeping. Do you understand? He is weeping. The poor whom he takes the cause of, they're weeping, they're dying, and he's weeping. And those of us who are in the middle income are not necessarily going hungry, but what we are is just kind of eating less than what it is that we used to eat, or at least a lesser variety. Everybody is having a harder time. And the reason why this is the case is because the world is allowing a good 2 or 3 people, really you can count them on your one hand, that are trying to run you to a point where they imagine human bodies collateral damage. Do you think, for crying out loud, that the collapse of those Georgia guidestones in indeed Georgia, do you think that that was not a hint from God, a sign that this culling mission by the global elites is entirely resented by him? They did not collapse on their own, they were bombed. But understand that they were so strong, so monolithic, that it was believed they would be able to survive the apocalypse even. So nobody should have been able to bomb them successfully. Nobody should have been able to bomb them successfully. And so whatever it is that they used, whatever the explosive that they detonated there, conquered something that was apparently unconquerable. They were a monolith. Do you understand? And that monolithic structure came down. It was fueled. God was basically hinting that you think you can calm my humans when I said go, be fruitful, multiply, and yet you're saying the very opposite of what I said. You're saying get decreased. When I look at the planet, and literally the majority of it doesn't have any human being walking in it. The majority of the world has got no human existence. We are made up of a bunch of water, yes indeed. So we can't live in water because we are what is not so much amphibious but terrestrial, right? We can't walk on we can't live in water. That's what covers the majority of the earth. But even the land, the earth, the islands that make up the continents, right, that they are, most of them are uninhabited by human beings. They've got fauna there, but it's animals, insects and the like. There's more than enough farmland in the world to feed us all. So here is a planet that frankly can have 8 more billion people on it. It can. We have got the capacity. And there are a bunch of people that are creating education systems that are training everybody that the world is overpopulated, precisely because they have gathered us all in little cities and said, look how many of you there are. Look how squeezed up you are. Look at the houses of back in the day and how large each individual property was. And now look at how tiny your houses are and how many more people there are per household. There's literally too many of you. Are you serious? Literally get out of town. How about you leave? Leave. Go all together. You're not serious. There's more than enough habitable land for all of us, more than enough farmland to feed all of us, more than enough space for us to walk this earth. Build properties, build homes, exactly, go on right ahead and fulfill the commandments of God to be fruitful and multiply. Build homes and work by the sweat of our brow while we're at it, and we can't even do that because we're being told we're too many, and we're being called because apparently we are too many. We are being massacred because apparently we're too many, when Christ himself knows that we don't even come close to how many there could be. That's why the world has grown exponentially in number. God has been the one to magnify the numbers of us because he wanted a people for himself and lots of them. And here are these fools saying, now we want few. And some of the most intelligent people, they believe this theory. They believe that there are too many people on earth. Some of the wisest minds are not wisest, okay? Their wisdom is the wisdom of the world, so it's foolishness. Some of the most academically intelligent people, like naturally intelligent people, believe this bizarre thing. They don't even want to do the research themselves to come to the conclusion that this is nonsense. So God's wrath is therefore sparked up. He is enraged, do you understand, over the culling of human beings. He's enraged. And if God gets enraged and people don't repent, if people on the ground do not get down on their knees, fast, pray, so God might heal their lands, there is no incentive for him to keep those of his servants that are trying to evangelize an unevangelizable conglomerate. So he's going to take us. And when he does, I keep using this analogy, and some people think that it's low-key kind of and Christian. But I keep on saying everything at all that happens here on the earth, that Hollywood comes and manufactures, there is a heavenly version of it, because the devil is a counterfeiter. He doesn't have any original ideas. And so because he does not have original ideas, he tends to go and steal ideas of God and then makes them the diabolical version right down here. The Hunger Games, the Squid Game, the Cabin in the Woods, shows where basically there is an elite of people watching the majority of the human race just really struggle, and afterwards only like just a few people among those impoverished then get to eventually join the elite. You know how in the Hunger Games it's Katniss and them, they win the Hunger, and Peter and Finnick, whatever, they win the Hunger Games, and then they get to join the capital and be among the elite, even though once upon a time they were among the squalid. The Cabin in the Woods, these kids that go on like some kind of a holiday, and then next thing there are a whole bunch of people that send monsters into the ecosystem and they just watch them die from corporate. The Squid Games, where an elite bunch of people, eventually towards the end of the Squid Game, an elite bunch of people watch the most impoverished people among society fight each other for money, and only one wins and gets to join the elite. I could go on. Shows of this nature. Alice in Borderland. There are so many. If you can find them like on Netflix, like the theme is just resonating all throughout. Never mind just Hollywood, but all the other entertainment industries that you can find here on the earth. Why are they so obsessed with this theme? It's because that's literally how it's going to happen with Christians in the end. But the holy version, flip it. We are the elite, and we are going to be watching the Squid Game from heaven. We are going to be watching the Hunger Games from heaven. We are going to be the culprit that's watching the kids in the cabin in the woods get killed by monsters that are going to get sent on the earth. Christians are going to be caught up into heaven, and then we're going to watch the tribulation happen down here. And it looks very much like the Hunger Games. It looks very much like the Cabin in the Woods. It looks very much like the Squid Game. And there are only a few in the tribulation that are going to strive and conquer and prosper enough to, upon them dying because of the tribulation, inherit heaven. Only a few are going to choose heaven. Only a few are going to not take the mark of the beast. Only a few are going to basically win the Squid Game. And you are trying to be a competitor in the Squid Game when the odds are that only one wins, only two, only three, a handful wins to join the capital. There is a holy version. 3% is another show on Netflix that has this theme in it, where people scrummage in order to go and join the offshore, to go and be in the offshore, and the rest just live in squalor in some dystopian society. The devil has given Hollywood these ideas, or the entertainment industry these ideas, because he knows that the day is coming in the history of the human race where there are going to be an elite few people that are going to get extracted out of the earth to watch everybody struggle to gain eternal life, and that the majority of them are going to fail. Only go read the book of Revelation. You will realize that it's the Squid Game, but flipped. It's the Hunger Games, but flipped. Satan takes the ideas of God and makes them his own. That's why you see these things on Netflix and you think it's just a movie. You think it's just a series. You think it's just a what. So do you think, would you much rather live as a Christian on this side of the rapture and then get taken up in the rapture and being among the elite that are going to watch the Squid Game happen down below? Or would you much rather be the groveling, struggling, impoverished peasants on the ground that are Katniss Everdeen in the arena, having to fight unto death for your soul? It's going to be so much harder to stick to Jesus, because look at the hunger now. Look at the global food crisis now. Look at the situation now. It's bad, and the rapture hasn't even happened. It's going to get worse. And people will take the mark of the beast. They will accept being run by a few globalist elites. And for you guys, and eventually there's going to be one guy that's running the show. But this one guy is going to be given power. The power of 10 kings is going to be given to the Antichrist. That's the scripture. So when I look at South Africa, when I look at these power cards, it's in Gitika from here to Timbuktu. Yeah, hey, these power cards, when I look at them, I'm like, no, it's never been like this. I mean, I'm 38, guys. I was born in 1984, so I know what South Africa before this looks like. And I know I've seen it like literally exponentially decline, the quality of life. I sometimes think about Trevor Noah there in the United States and what's happening in the US. He probably was like, oof, I escaped South Africa and all of its insanity, and now he's living among it. Now he is seeing it happen right in the US. Some of the most insane things on the global scale. Like literally the world superpower that is supposed to be doing a better thing out here is doing some of the things that some of the most irresponsible African countries have been doing forever and a day. When the United States is struggling to put food on the shelves, it's starting to look like a third world country, isn't it? And Trevor Noah now has nowhere to run. Literally, like in the movie The Body Snatchers. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. The world gets so bad that you can't even run to the US anymore to escape African indiscretion. Governmental corruption, where African leaders have been known to get away with some of the grandest murders and they never get impeached. They hold on to their power and like literally nobody can do anything about it. And now, like, countries that are supposed to be more civilized than that are going out like that. Literally, there's nowhere to run. Meaning, humanity, you must either give your life to the Lord Jesus Christ, since there's only 5 of us left to repent, and then go to heaven and watch the Squid Games, or as a conglomerate, you can choose to save the world, literally. You can choose to repent so God can heal the land. Otherwise, God is going to usher in a righteous reign because he is fed up. The cup of his wrath is getting filled to an nth degree. And if you let it get to a certain brim, then Christ is going to be like, my kids, you tried. Come home. And then, fire is going to come out on the earth. You will feel it. And you will flat to Karaba's ministry and say, I wish I had listened. Oh, I wish I had listened. I'm so stupid. Why am I going to be dumb? Oh, it's over. Oh, yeah, it will be over for you. You're going to wish you had listened to the crank. So how about you just like stop wishing and do it now? Seek the Lord's face, pray. And when you pray, what happens is that monolithic structures get brought down in the spirit realm. Principalities get disbanded. And principalities that have influence over the minds of mankind, if they get brought down, people start to think clearer. And when people think clearer, they then stop doing certain things that they were doing and they're like, "Ay, Mara, what's going on here?" And so they stand against wicked structures. And when a mass conglomerate on the ground stand against a wicked elite, they tend to endure that which happened in the in the French Revolution, for instance. Marie Antoinette, King Louis XVI beheaded because of a revolution that happened. So I'm not saying behead leaders. Please, come on, don't come at me. YouTube, don't censor me. What are you doing? Okay? But I am saying their power needs to be taken away from them. There was a day when there was this interview of this like lackluster World Economic Forum fool. I don't know who his name is, but he's one of that young guy that everybody likes. Like he is like the little, you know, when they say there's a teacher's pet, like that kid in school that all the teachers like because he's so clever and he's always doing so well and he plays the cello and he's the captain of the soccer team and he will bore the living daylights out of you. There is a child, like a kid, a young man that belongs to the World Economic Forum, and everybody is just like, oh, that's my favorite young person, that's my favorite millennial. I just like how he's walking, look at him strutting his stuff, look at him fluff his feathers. Whoever that guy is, you know what his name is. I heard an interview with him where he was talking about how laughable it is that the world still believes they can gather in their numbers, riot, and actually stop what they're doing. Teacher's pet done spoken. Doesn't everybody just hate the teacher's pet? They do, don't they? So how about you uproot that guy? Put a hole in his tire. Hey? Put a hole in his bicycle so when he rides home, he will fall over. Hey? How about you puncture that soccer ball so he can't kick it properly? He needs to be sabotaged. Literally, people who are trying to destroy the world, the world needs to sabotage their plans. They need to be foiled. They're the saboteurs. We then need to enter and be the saboteurs. Literally, we need to go to war with the same weapons they are slapping us with. They're not slapping us with physical weapons. The reason they speak so pompously on the rooftops is because they have spiritual weapons that have lulled you to sleep so that you will not realize they're literally taking away your future. So we need spiritual weapons in order to fight the spiritual elite who understand that they can control our minds with globalistic sorcery. How do you conquer these things? How do you get demons to be like, what have you done with me? What do you want with me? I am legion, for we are many. How do you get devils to manifest? You walk like Jesus. The ones that manifested in the cave and that man manifested because they recognized the Son of Man. You cause them to come out and you pray, you become a believer, you become a Christian, you fast, and you therefore expose demons who will tremble before you and realize that they have no other choice but to be exorcised. And so they will beg to go into the pigs. These men and women are in and of themselves human. So they need to be exorcised. Their devils need to come out. They need to rear their ugly heads. We need to pray for them to be so taboo and so frankly irresponsible that they will obviously not get taken seriously anywhere and anyhow. They must be uprooted. They must lose their jobs. They must crash from a dizzy height. They must go on their private islands and spend retirement there. You know, like what happens in the movie. I don't want to say that its name because it's kind of profane. The one with Brad Pitt. Inglourious Bastards, okay? That movie Inglourious Bastards, there's this guy who is a Nazi that thinks that he's going to get away with murder, and then Brad Pitt at the end of the movie etches in the Nazi sign on him because he sought amnesty at the tribunal by handing over other people that were involved in the Nazi regime. But he only did that only because he realized that he was at the end of his rope. Brad Pitt, no, he wasn't. He knew that he was not innocent. He knew that he was going to be given a fat, beautiful retirement. So what did he do? He literally etched in with a knife a swastika on his forehead so that people will always know that he's a Nazi. Always know that he's a Nazi. Once a Nazi, always a Nazi. And that's how Brad Pitt dealt with him. So if at all they're going to retire on their big fat islands and get away with murder after having wreaked havoc in our lives, they need to have etched on their foreheads a big fat chunky swastika for what it is that they did, because they are indeed inglorious bastards. What they are destroyers of the human race, and if we disband them, they will still be wealthy. They're not about to lose that money, but they have to be branded with status of Nazi. They have to go down in history textbooks as ones who tried to take over the world. Literally, they don't get to escape the reputation of Hitler. They don't, because they're exactly like Hitler. And that's how we conquer these people. We get down on our knees that the whole world might realize they're monsters as opposed to good people, and then be written off in history textbooks as those who tried to coup the planet. That's how the Lord is going to delay his return. Because understand, you do not want to be here when the Squid Games start. You want to delay them as far as possible. You want to live continuously in a society where there is no need, first and foremost, to have the Hunger Games, to have the Squid Games. In other words, there should not be such a disparity between the elite and the rest of us, where they are basically making sure that we own nothing and are happy. There cannot be such a gargantuan disparity between us and them that we now are ones who are indeed essentially like fighting for scraps of bread and food, because we are in the Hunger Games. Things are getting there. Literally, there is a great equalizer happening, but it's not a good one, where even the middle income are being made to be among the poorest of the poor. They are gradually suffocating us with the lifestyles of the poor, those of us who were not so poor. I personally used to be among the middle class. Now I am impoverished. I just so happen to live in middle income environments because my family members have money. But as for me, they destroyed my career, my everything. All this intelligence is literally getting wasted. That's what's going on. So I know what it's like to be poor, the poorest of the poor. I know what it's like to grovel, to literally not be able to get bread tomorrow. I know what it's like to be emaciated, not because I'm on a diet, but because I literally don't have enough food in my body. I know what it's like to be that way, having come from lots of money before, at least some kind of a semblance of a normal life. I had some kush all up in my step. I had enough fat on my bum that when I sat down, I didn't feel the pain. And then I got emaciated to a point where that became an issue. I know that they know how to bring a person from that height to the bottom. So the higher up in rank you are in the middle income, the longer it's going to take for you to fall. But either way, everybody is going to eventually fall until eventually you own nothing and are apparently happy. They're trying to run us. They're trying to be the ones to ration food. Is it Switzerland where they are already currently rationing food? Guys, that's ridiculous. They are already rationing food among the middle class. Did you ever imagine that would ever be your existence? I would not recommend anybody try to live off-grid. Make like the Amish and grow their own potatoes. We can't all do that. No, every one of us has farm knowledge, guys, or agricultural knowledge. Not every one of us knows how to plant, and not every one of us has got big enough yards at the back of our houses to indeed grow our own food. It's a good practice that to partake in, but the majority of the planet does not have the luxury to do that. So the existing structures are helpful to enable us to walk into Woolies and buy produce. And if we can't do that, then something is wrong with this picture. If at all we can't go into Woolies and trust that somebody else grew food on a farm, and on top of that it's like really bad food because it's genetically modified, If we can no longer have those conveniences, we are facing a future where most of us are going to go hungry. And even those people who are living off-grid, or who are living slow lives, or who have got these like plants in their gardens, are going to get looted. They're going to get their houses broken into in the middle of the night, and people uprooting their cabbages, their cabbage heads, and their like turnips and whatnot. You get my point. Like, it's going to get to a point where crime is going to be on the increase. They're trying to create chaos and anarchy on the earth so that we will lament less. Because they will be the ones to give us scraps, rations, literally like a food kitchen, a soup kitchen. Except you were a CEO of a company. You were the senior manager of a small team of call center agents, and now you're at a soup kitchen? Tantamount. They are going to be the soup kitchen, and you are going to be the person getting the scraps from them, but it's not going to look that way because you're going to be among the apparently favored because you will have taken a mark on your right hand and on your forehead. Guys. You need to repent so this thing can be delayed, eradicated, so the impending nature of the tribulation will be slowed down. It is worth your while to turn your heads over to the Lord Jesus Christ and make like Nineveh, declare a fast in your lands, that the wicked elite might be brought low, because their spiritual weapons are the ones that need to be brought low first. The monolithic strong man that is holding all of y'all hostage in your minds needs to be uprooted. It's a demon, it's an entity, a principality, a large one. Large ones occur over all of our nations. They work with our presidents. You get my point? They work this way. They need to be brought low so that society will shake out of it the gas in the sky, and then expose them for what they are, and then put stamps of swastikas on their foreheads so they can go and retire on their private islands, shamed men and women. That's what needs to happen. These power cuts in this country, ridiculous, and they keep on happening, and they're not going on the decline, and I am uncomfortable to even say that it's likely going to get worse. And I don't even know what's worse than this. Ziningi, I can't get my work out, I am so backlogged. We need to repent world citizenship, we do. If we don't, I gotta get off the camera now because I want to do some TikToks because I'm trying to get my channel viewed, type establishment thing. But before we leave, guys, like, understand this is important. I am coming here pleading for your soul, not so much for my own, because I am already rescued. I'm going to heaven. There is nothing you can do about that. Christ got this. You, however, need to go to heaven. You can either repent right now because you realize the world around you is not coming around fast enough and Christ is about to rapture the church, or you can repent so the Lord does not rapture the church, because that is a worthwhile prayer. It's a worthwhile prayer. While it is our blessed hope, it is also important that it be delayed as best as possible, because it's going to be more difficult to repent in the tribulation. It's going to be more difficult to repent in the tribulation. Give your lives over to the Lord Jesus Christ, and don't allow this to ransack your futures. Don't allow it to ransack your futures. I don't know what's coming tomorrow, and I care what's coming tomorrow, but it is not good. It's not good at this rate. I feel like I'm wasting my time. The Lord has created an urgency in me because he desires to stay his hand from pouring out his wrath on the human race. That's why there is an urgency. I feel it even though no one is looking at my work. That's just the irony of it all. Like, nobody views my videos. I barely get any views. Sometimes 24 hours can go without not even a single person looking at my work. I do believe it also has a lot to do with curses, but more than anything, it has to do with the fact that people are currently gathering for themselves a great number of teachers to teach them what the Asian ears want to hear. They don't want to hear prophecy. They don't want to hear biblical truth. They don't want to hear what's happening in the book of Revelation and whether or not it's outworking itself today. They don't want to hear the Bible as it is voraciously taught to the human race, and so therefore they are just happy to hear that which is not actually what's important to listen to. I'm not being heard. So why am I in such a rush to get this content uploaded? It's only because God has an urgency. So maybe it's because he wants to take us home that you might have this information to help you light some kind of a candle in the darkness of your circumstances once the church is taken out of here. Because there is literally never going to be these kinds of living conditions and these kinds of liberties that I have to record on my phone such a taboo message to a point where my neighbors can even eavesdrop and hear what I'm saying. That's going to be taken away from you. So my urgency is probably either because God is going to take us anyway, whether or not I would love that it be delayed because we care for souls. He does not delight in the death of him who dieth. Or he is using me or people like me, many of us that are gathered, because I'm not the only one speaking these things, to basically make you realize that if you don't repent, he will take us. And that you're going to be a participant, a tribute in the Hunger Games arena. Up to you which one of those categories of human being you're going to be. But as for me, either way, I'm going to heaven. I might actually literally just like tomorrow be watching from Heaven's Terrace the Hunger Games, or I could be here the next 30 years from today raising my kids, watching my grandchildren get born, and observing the world be given a second chance, another shot. I don't know which of those two is gonna eventually unravel, but I am praying for the latter, frankly, because I'm also frankly just, I'm rooting for you. I'm signing out in Christ's name. Crank, bye.